Hey there, Bob from Oregon's Constant Gardener. Welcome to the OCG Fam Show. To you, my YouTube buddies, I've been gone for a while. You probably noticed. I've been remiss in my duties as your host. I'm sorry about that. I'm redoubling my efforts. We're getting back into this, at least doing a couple shows a week. Hoping to do every day again. You'll believe it when you see it. I get it. What's going on with you? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it. Speaking of the comments, I want to talk to you about the comments. You may have noticed Christopher in the comments answering questions. That's a little thing we got going on. Still going to be having Scott on the show on Fridays. We're hoping to get back into the swing of that. Scott's been super busy, had a lot going on, has not been able to do the show, but we're hoping at least this week, or hopefully this week, and definitely next week to get back into that, answering some questions. But we wanted to be answering more questions, doing more, being of more service to the community. So what I've done is Christopher here at the store is real knowledgeable, real sharp, been in the gardening game a long time, and he's going to be in the comments answering questions. So when you got gardening questions, we'll still be answering questions on the show, still be doing that, but also in the comments. So I thought it would be fun, interesting, informative to have Christopher on the show, like in an interview kind of thing, so we can find out a little bit more about him, so we know, put a face with a name kind of situation, all that. I know we've had Christopher on before, but a little deeper in things. So I did a little video with him, did an interview. Watch that. I'll talk to you after. Christopher, what's going on?
Good. How are you, Bob?
I'm doing good. So you're answering questions on the old YouTubes.
Yeah.
Part of the community now. So I thought everybody would be curious. You've been on the show a bunch of times, but I thought everybody would be curious about a little deeper into you. What you got going? How you got started gardening? That whole thing. How'd you get started gardening?
Ooh, well, I mean, as a kid growing up, grew up in rural upstate New York.
Yeah?
My mom always had lots of garden stuff kind of going on. I guess that would have probably piqued my interest a little bit. And then as I became a teen, working on some local farms in the area, you know, became more interested in it. And probably when I moved out here and met my wife, that we became really passionate gardens in our backyard. And every year since then, been married 14 years, so 14 years of solid gardening, going on 15 here soon.
Holy moly. So your mom, what kind of garden did she have? Just like vegetables, big one?
She had the veggie garden a couple times, and then the flower garden. I think the beauty of just the flower garden and being in there all the time, kind of, it was a bulb garden, so, you know.
Wow. So just like all around the house and stuff, or like laid out and cutting them up?
Yeah, all around the house, and yeah, one year she had me dig up all her bleeding hearts and hostas when they moved out of the house, so, so yeah.
Took it with her?
Yeah. We've become attached to our plants.
What kind of farming did you do out there?
Well, my friends mainly had cattle farms, so like dairy cattle farms.
Oh,
so,
I got you. Okay.
There's definitely,
you were around the land.
Yeah, around the land. They would always be, you know, planting feeder crops for the cattle, and so yeah, just around that a lot of my life.
So what did they eat corn or something, or what did they?
Yeah, eat a lot of corn.
A lot of corn. They're hungry.
Yeah, a lot of crop rotations for corn to go in.
All of us probably know that there is an upstate New York because you think of Manhattan and all that. But what's it like up there? I mean, compared to Oregon or Midwest or something like that, what's the scenery like, and what's the?
Well, where I'm from in upstate New York, you kind of have middle upstate New York and then upstate New York, which becomes a little bit flatter. We're in the rolling hills to the Catskills, so it's very mountainous, just rolling hill after rolling hill. It's really pretty. Reminds me of here at times to get a lot more snow, which I don't miss the snow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I grew up.
How come you ended up moving out here?
I was traveling, following bands around, and you know, I heard West Coast is where it's at. So.
What bands?
Fish, you know, different. This was the 2000s, so different makeups of the Dead.
Yeah,
like
so
that,
basically
you know.
that.
Jam bands, you know. And,
nice.
All the glass blowers were from out here, so I had to come see what it was all about.
Yeah, so when you came out here, did you come to Eugene or somewhere else?
Yeah, our two places were Eugene or Arcata, you know, which, of course, you know, the laws were on the sides in those two states and those two particular regions, and wanting to learn to blow glass. Those were where you would go. We came to Eugene first, and the wheels were kind of starting to come off the bus, monetarily speaking.
It was time to settle down.
This is as far as we made it. We did go down to Arcata for a harvest festival. that later that month. And overall, I'm glad I made the decision to end up here. Arcata is definitely a great place, beautiful place, but really small. And as hard as it was to kind of get your feet under the ground here in Eugene, I can only imagine. So there.
Oh yeah. So the vagabond life was kind of it ran its course.
It ran its course. We had a good solid summer traveling all year. Didn't watch TV that whole summer or anything.
Oh wow.
We're really out of the loop. It was actually funny. It was September 2001 when we came here. And being from New York, we got here the day before the September 11th things happened. And being out of the loop, traveling cross country that whole time, not really watching news to kind of get into civilization the day that happened was it was pretty interesting to say the least.
I can imagine. It never occurred to me that all of us, I think a lot of us, experienced that through the lens of the news. But to not watch the news, but to be around, because it was affecting of everyone. I mean, I remember that day, and it was like you didn't go do your normal stuff without talking about it, at least without addressing it.
We go into a grocery store, and it's like everybody's like, you know what's happening? And we were at a campground, so we still had no real media. So it wasn't until a couple weeks after staying at that campground that we actually got a place, and then we're getting more filled in as to what was going on.
So not knowing the magnitude of it, did you feel the magnitude of it?
I think yeah, absolutely. From the reactions of just everybody, it was. I don't know if it was more vivid that way because you had no way to relate to it, but everybody was panicking and seemed like you were freaking out, and you really didn't see any of it. So we never saw it until 2 weeks later. What had actually. I mean, we knew what was going on, but didn't see it. On the TV like everybody else had for a couple weeks later. So
my mom called me. I was asleep, and she's like, "The world's gone crazy," she said to me. And I went up there and just watched, and it's just like, oh my God.
So just a weird series of events to move here from New York, upstate New York. Everyone, of course, when you say you're from New York, you have to clarify very quickly that you're from upstate New York because everyone thinks you're from the city instantly, which is the furthest from the truth when you're from upstate New York.
Totally different thing. So would you say it's still, is it as rural as Oregon? I mean, we got Portland and Eugene, Salem, but still, even in Eugene, in Springfield here, it's kind of, it's not the same as even Arizona or somewhere like that. Does it feel like the country up there, or is it still kind of urban?
Rural, but we have lots of little tiny towns that are really spread out. So rural here means you know, like if you're in Eastern Oregon or something, maybe hours away from
few and far between.
Very few and far between. We're there, every 20 miles or so. There's another little town, or verging on personality, a small city. So definitely different in that way.
So you still doing the glass blowing?
We dabbled in it, but quickly, I love doing it, but it was becoming very costly really quickly to learn how to do it. And, it became quite evident that you needed to get good at this quick, or you were going to spend a lot of materials.
They say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere but Manhattan. That's the way it is for glass blowing here.
So we changed gears a little bit once we realized that kind of became acquainted with the scene here with that.
I gotcha. So then you got doing the gardening stuff. How long you been at Oregon's Constant Gardener?
4.5 years now.
So a bit now.
This is going on my 5th year.
So now, were you at another garden type store before that, or did you came into this? You just knew the game.
Yeah,
I gotcha. And did you?
Definitely shopped at different garden shops in town. I worked at a computer chip factory here in town. A lot of people from Eugene are familiar with Hynix. When I found out we were having our first child, went to go get a job in the big factory.
Jobbity job.
Yeah, did that for almost 5 years until they closed down, and then I got to we qualified for a program to go back to school. So I went for a 2-year degree in electronics, which I started my own lighting business, and meanwhile we were running a food booth. So I did that for a few years, and then decided wanted to get a job to recoup some funds after a car accident that I had been through. The drunk driver rear-ended me. Don't drink and drive. The electronics degree helped me kind of, I believe, get my foot in the door. I knew how to tear apart equipment and fix it.
Okay, that was your thing.
Yeah, I had a lot of
skill that helped you to get the
backyard gardening experience. Far from an expert, still am far from an expert. Just really passionate about it. I think they saw the passion and the fact that I could tear apart a lot of the equipment that growers work with and diagnose them and fix them was definitely something that helped me get my foot in the door. My wife actually encouraged me to apply here.
Oh yeah, okay.
I was still in that kind of mode of
I'm gonna make this work.
I was trying to look at all the typical factory type jobs since that's where I came from.
Yeah.
And I think she wanted me to have a little bit more of a change of pace, something I enjoy doing since I just came out of a couple years of working for myself, doing stuff I enjoyed. I think she kind of dreaded a little me going to work in the factory world again. Definitely is. It's been a nice change of pace.
That's cool. So, had you been around Nectar for the Gods at all before you got here and all that stuff?
I was a little bit familiar with actually the Harvest Moon label. They've been at, as I mentioned, we ran a food booth at a lot of different festivals. Scott and Ryan actually had set up with their booth. At that time, I was always a slave to my booth, so I never really got out too much, but I would always hear, there's a booth over there giving away fertilizers. And come to behold, it was Nectar for the Gods and Oregon's Constant Gardener. And I had a lot of experience in the backyard gardening, so I was doing a lot of typical just dry amendments, of which I was getting from Down to Earth at the time, and doing just a lot of composting, for my veggie garden. Of course, coming on here and laws changing, definitely, wanted to go
growing
down
some
that
different, more diverse crops.
Yeah, absolutely. And
nice.
Had been very familiar with liquid fertilizers from that in my past, and kind of came in here with just a fresh slate and. Just wanted to learn and listen to everything everybody around the shop was saying. Took it to heart. Watching what customers were buying, seeing what was making them successful as a gardener for that first 6 months. Definitely helped.
I was doing a sales job for a while, and I didn't get any training in it. I just was sitting at my desk doing my thing, and I hear the other guys talking, and it's like, is that kind of what,
absolutely.
Because I'm sure you knew a lot of it, but all the everyday questions and stuff that comes up and the more unusual stuff, you hear someone else talking about it, and you dig in and research it and kind of find your way.
I think coming in with that fresh slate approach, just wanting to learn. Ryan always says he wants people to be just a sponge when you first come on.
Just take it away.
And not coming in with a lot of preconceived already, this is how I do my gardening. I just came in with that fresh slate and wanting to learn. And I think it helped tremendously with my approach here.
Well, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're really excited. It's all just me, I guess. What kind of doing this?
Well, I hope you guys are all excited too.
Yeah, with answering the questions, because I was thinking about that, because we Scott, is he has a broad knowledge of gardening, but we really try to focus on the Nectar because that's the value we have there with Scott, is that he knows that inside and out. And so we try to focus those questions there. But we've been wanting to have some more general, gardening type. How do I do X, Y, or Z? So I'm really excited that we can maybe get into more of that, and hopefully we'll do some on the show kind of answers the questions. But also you're going to be in the comments and answering there. So
you see me in the comments. I'll usually close those with just OCG Christopher. That way that I was myself answering those, and Bob's answering those, or Scott are answering those. I'm sure they'll kind of follow suit, or you'll at least know who's answering those questions for you, so you feel like you're getting the info from the right person.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for doing this with us, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, that was fun. We sure appreciate Christopher doing that, and appreciate him answering the questions. I hope it's going to be of value to you. That's the show for today. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. For reals, tomorrow. I'll be here. We got something planned. It's going to be fun. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM.com. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code GROWFAM20. It's going to save you 20%. And it's a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show, it's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow. Seriously, I'll be back, I promise.